Alright guys, so today I want to talk about the Thursday night game, the game opener versus the Lions and the Chiefs. I want to break down my DFS, my choices, my best choices. Alright guys, so today I'm going to go ahead and get right into this DFS showdown slate between the Chiefs and between the Lions. Now, every single slate that we break down in the future, this is kind of the format I will have eventually every single week. So what I mean by this is that, yes, we're going to do some where I just kind of blankly choose who I like, who I don't like. That's my first look. But there also will be these type of breakdowns where I'm going to give my predictions, my projections on these players. A yes, a no, or a maybe. If green means yes, red means no, and yellow means maybe. Maybe you could go with him, dependingly. We're also going to be talking about, of course, which players I like, which players I don't like. But again, like I said, there's going to be this type of video every single week for not only showdown slates, but also the normal slates. And there's also going to be videos on first looks for, everything. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off right away, Patrick Mahomes, clearly yes. He is a 1000% yes. Now, him and Kelsey are going to be very chalky going into this. So this is why, again, it is sometimes almost impossible to get away from going with the best players, the top of the line players at your captain spot. Because as you guys can see on the right-hand side, I do have Mahomes. Keep in mind, these are all 1.5 times multipliers because the captain spot is 1.5 times. So, for example, I have Mahomes here scoring 24 points, but in a 1.5 times multiplier for the captain spot, he will score 36. Same thing with my man Kelsey. I have scoring 20, but 1.5 times multiplier gets him up to, obviously, 30. Now, the question is, which of these team captains should you go with, right? And I will tell you right now, if you are thinking about going at the top of the list here, obviously, yes, both of these guys are very, very expensive. I would probably stick with Kelsey. And the reason why is because I feel like Kelsey can... I feel like if there's someone's going to hit the mark in that game and one of those two guys is going to go off and get crazy numbers, it's probably going to be Kelsey in the end. I know I do have Mahomes a tad bit higher than him, but it's very possible that you could flip those two numbers and, Kelsey finishes with 36 points and Mahomes finishes with 30. So I would probably go with team captain Kelsey. It will be very chalky, but at the end of the day, there's not much on the Lions side that I really like for this game. And you're going to see as we go down here, where the Chiefs side, yes, they have their dominant guys, but they also have some kind of more budgety type guys. But I don't really love them too much at the captain spot. Now, the next guy I have here is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was able to get back with his team and start practicing again. So you got to keep an eye out on him. And keep in mind that next Thursday is the game. So just kind of, monitor that situation. If he is, of course, out, then this will automatically become a red. If he was, I actually had block out the whole image, a whole player if they are out. But yes, he will be a red if he is out clearly, right? Jared Goff, I do have him slated here for 25, well, not 25 points. I am slated here for 17 points with 25.5 after the captain multiplier. Here's what I think about this game when it comes to Jared Goff, because I'm not really too much crazy on Jared Goff, but you got to look at last year's game, the Lions-Seahawks game, where that ended up becoming a shootout, like 40-plus points. And it's very possible that the Chiefs get up in this game very early by a lot of points and that Jared Goff and the Lions had to play catch-up. And a lot of garbage time could be scored. This, of course, is going to make players like Jared Goff very valuable as he's going to have to throw the ball a lot. This also would take away the narrative of Gibbs. Now, Gibbs can catch the football, but most likely in this offense, David Montgomery is going to be more of the pass-catching back, and Gibbs will be more of the between the tackles. We also don't know what Gibbs' snap count's going to be. That's why the first game of the season is always a little bit tricky because you don't really get the snap counts, right? You have an idea of what they might be, but you don't really know the snap counts until you go into the next week. So I will say overall-wise, Jared Goff, because of garbage time, I'm actually really liking him. Almost to a point that I could find myself with him at the captain spot. I don't think it's going to be that chalky. Usually the quarterbacks are always the chalkiest plays here, but I think basically everyone is assuming the Chiefs are going to dominate this game versus the Lions. While yes, everyone wants the Lions to win, I think a lot of people think there's going to be a domination by the Chiefs. So a lot of people, or let's say like 60-70% of DFS players, are probably going with either Mahomes or Kelsey at their captain spot. So it's very possible Jared Goff does have a lot of garbage time points and actually plays very well here. And let's say, for example, Isaiah Pacheco gets some goal line carries and gets some touchdowns, that Jared Goff could be that guy who gets it. But again, like I've always said, it's hard to put the quarterback at the captain spot because at the end of the day, you have to realize that unless he is spreading the ball out to every single person and every single person touching the ball and getting even shares, he's probably not going to be the guy with the most points, right? So then we got Gibbs here. I do have him ranked for around 17 points, or again, 25.5 out the multiplier. I'm just going to say moving forward, I'm going to say the multiplier scores. We're going to be looking at their non-multiplier scores when we get to the flex plays. Kadarius Toney, I have him slated for 15 points. I think Kadarius Toney is an interesting play. Of course, he is going to be most likely their kick and punt returner. So it's possible he gets more points if he has a punt return. He almost had one in the Super Bowl. But I do think he has earned a right in this offense, right? And I think he's going to get his targets. I don't think he's going to be over-targeted by any stretch of imagination. But I think this is a player, especially with his speed, that he can get behind, the Lions defense and maybe make a play or two. That could definitely... We'll watch out for that one. But that's why I do have him as a green for that reason. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I really like Isaiah Pacheco here at the captain spot. And I have done now 3 lineups with Isaiah Pacheco at the captain spot. And the reason why I really like it is because, like I said, the narrative that if they get up by a lot in this game, the Chiefs, they might just start running the football like crazy. Because they're not going to want to risk injury or problems or anything. And Isaiah Pacheco, he's a 7th round pick. Now, I'm not saying they don't care about him, but they're going to probably push him a little bit farther than they would a 1st round pick. And especially because, again, they probably think in their heads, like, we can just replicate this if we needed to with another 7th round pick, then they're going to probably give him a lot of carries in this game. It's first game of the season also. You got to think the passing game might be a little slower. So I really like him at the captain spot. He's 6,800 at the captain spot. And yes, I mean, you could also make the reasoning why he could be really good at the, flex spot. I really like him at the captain spot. I think he can at least in this game, I would say, put up decent numbers. I mean, I would say at least probably, I would assume he gets a touchdown in this game. And I have him ranked here right now at a price tag of around 15 points. Which I think is, I would say, at least 1 touchdown in this game. Maybe 10, 15 carries, at least 30, 40 yards, which I think is pretty solid, but it's very possible that he has over that. I'm underestimating his value of what he would get in this game. So let me actually do the math real fast so I can, I don't have his exact stat of what I have here, but like, for example, 15 minus 6 is 9, so around 90 yards rushing on around 10 to 15 carries and falls in the end zone. I think that's kind of where I'm looking at when it comes to him. David Montgomery, I do have him as a yes. Another player I have is, I think David Montgomery has a lot of value in this game. Especially, again, if the Lions get behind quickly, they're going to want to check down the ball a lot and try to get short, dink and dunk type plays. That's where a brand new player just signed with them this offseason could really help them out and do a lot of wonders. I do have Marvin Jones as a yes, and again, I do have him set for 15 points. Now, going down this list here, the only other players I want to talk about is MVS. I have him as a yes, and I do have him set for 15 points. He's a guy who could catch a real big touchdown in this game, probably 1 touchdown, and finish the game with like 1 60-yard catch for a touchdown, and that's all he does. And that's why, again, like I said, I have him as a yes. I almost wanted to put him as a maybe for this game, but I just kind of felt myself saying, you know what? There is a chance that he catches like 2 crazy touchdowns, and I'm going to feel like crap if I don't have him as a yes for that reason. Sam Laporta, the rookie tight end for Detroit, He is a starting tight end. I have him as a maybe. I don't know how much he's going to get utilized. Again, a lot of these rookies, it really comes down to how much they're going to be utilized in this game, right? And that's really what it comes down to. Now, for Harrison Bucker, I have him as a maybe, and I also have, of course, a maybe for the Detroit Lions kicker, too. Chiefs defense, I have as a maybe. I do have Lions defense as a no. And the reason why, just a quick tip here, is because of the fact that I do believe in the Chiefs that they could shut them out in this game. I low-key believe that in the back of my head. It's not a yes, it's a maybe, because I have that feeling like, what if they shut them out in this game? And I still feel like it's a possibility, so I do have them as a maybe. Again, going down this list here, Josh Reynolds, I have it for 9 points. As a maybe here, I also have Richie James as a maybe at 9 points. And a Khalif Raymond at 12 points. Khalif Raymond, I think, is like that sneaky play that might work out. Not the captain spot, but possibly at the flex spot. So I think he could be like a pretty sneaky good play at the flex spot. Nonetheless, though, guys, let's go ahead and get over to the flex spot and talk about what I like and what I dislike. Alright, so now getting to the flex spots, it's a tad bit different. I will say a lot of these picks are going to be, I would say it's a tad bit different, but a lot of these picks could be the same because, again, like I said, this Showdown Slate, not much value later on, like near the bottom of the list for some, budget type guys, but it is what it is. So starting off right away, I do have Patrick Mahomes set at 24 points on a night. Again, keep in mind, if you are going to be going with, let's say, for example, there's not too many times in Showdown Slates I like to stack or skinny stack or double stack, right? And obviously it's kind of a little bit different. But I will say for Showdown Slates, I will sometimes, if I'm like going for a captain spot, right? And I'm like, okay, I want the captain spot to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's say hypothetically speaking, right? I'm going to make sure I have Jared Goff in that lineup. Because there is no point to have him as your captain and not have Jared Goff in your lineup. Right? Because if he goes out there and puts up 2 touchdowns, 80 yards, well, guess what? Jared Goff probably had a good game, right? So that's why I will say for some players, I like to kind of single stack them. So, like, if I go with Kelsey, I'm going to have Mahomes in my lineup. I will be honest, it would be really hard to find a lineup that doesn't have Mahomes in it this Thursday night or next Thursday night. So that's also another side note here. But overall, I will say, yeah. So that's kind of my thought process. So, Kelsey, I do have 20 points. Again, it's yes. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 17 points. I'm going to have the same thing as the first one over here as a yes for all the same guys at the top of the list. And again, all these guys are solid plays. There's no real reason why you shouldn't have any of these guys in your lineup when it comes to captain spot. But when it comes to the flex spot, these guys are a must. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you can't get every single great player in your lineup, right? And when Patrick Mahomes costs $12,200 here, and obviously captain spot $18,300, it's hard to, kind of finesse these guys in your lineup, right? Because it's at a point where you're like, okay, well, I have to kind of pick and choose. That's why I do like some players later down the list here. I do have Jerick McKinnon as a yes here, but I have him no at the captain spot. Because I feel like here, if he goes out there, $5,600 is very expensive for a flex play, especially if you think he's a boomer bust type of guy. But this is a player we have seen in the past where Jerick McKinnon, he could catch a pass in this game and have like maybe like 30, 40 yards on 3-4 receptions, get yourself some 10 points, and if he falls in the end zone, he could get 17 points. So it's kind of an iffy type play. That's why I have him as a, I do have him as a yes because I think he could help diversify your lineup and keep you from being as much chalky. But it's definitely a risky play, and that's why I want to talk about that because it is risky. MVS is a yes. I do have Sam Laporta as a yes here. In my flex play, again, my captain spot, I'm not really going for that because, listen, at the end of the day, your captain spot, if it fails and your guy does not hit, you're gonna lose. It is what it is, right? There is one captain every single Showdown Slate who is the best captain, right? He's the guy who wins the lineup. At the end of the day, everyone else is kind of like a hit or miss player. I've seen people win a lot of money when they have like a guy who gets 0 points or less than 5 points in their lineup. but the reason why is because he usually is a cheaper option. 5,000, not the cheapest option, but I'm okay with risking it for the biscuit here and maybe 1 or 2 lineups using Sam Laporta in my flex. I'm not going to use him in my actual, lineup, like my captain lineup, but my captain spot, but I'm okay with my, flex play. Sky Moore, I also have him as a maybe. Rashee Rice a maybe, and Harrison Butker as a maybe. Again, like I said, not captain spot materials, but for just a flex play, just a boomer bust type guy. Again, like I said, very expensive for my taste at 4,800. Usually a boomer bust guy, I like to find him around 1,300, maybe down to 800, but still, I don't think they're the worst plays in the world, so I am going to put them there as a maybe. Riley Patterson, maybe. Chiefs defense is a maybe. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Lions is a no. Josh Reynolds is a maybe. Noah Gray is a maybe. Is a no. And Richie James is a maybe. So this is the range, I will say, from here down is where I will say this is like the, there's a chance that some of these guys, again, budget-wise, are going to be able to really help you out. But the problem is, a lot of these guys either aren't on the team anymore, or they're simply just not going to get much targets or receptions. And even though, yes, they're very cheap for a reason. The only player I like in this, and again, keep in mind, just throughout the season, you're going to see that there are some teams that do have really good, decent budget options down here. Lions and Chiefs do not. Just a side note here. But Khalif Raymond, 800, I still really like that in my flex play. And I'm probably going to find myself in a lot of lineups having him in there. He's not the greatest player, don't get me wrong, but he's going to get some targets in this game. If he gets a goal line look, I do like him. And it's one of those situations where, again, it really comes down to paying off your price tag. 800 is not that hard to pay off. That's what I like about him. 800 is really not that unrealistic to pay off. So, guys, that's where I'm sitting for Week 1 Showdown Slate between the Chiefs and the Lions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.